Hello everyone, it's Sean from Having Fun Repairs. It's been a bit since I've recorded my last video. You won't be able to tell an absence because I pre-record quite a bit of stuff and it gets scheduled out. That being said, before I get into this video and introducing what we're going to repair, I want to get a couple things out of the way. First off, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing if you like this content. If you're returning to this channel and you enjoyed this video, please also consider giving it a thumbs up. And a bit of fun news for me, but also a tad bit of uncertainty and maybe a little bit of extra stress. I went ahead and registered Having Fun Repairs in the state of Oklahoma under a sole proprietorship. That means now Having Fun Repairs is essentially a business. And so I can take on clients if you have consumer electronic devices, no matter what those devices are, and I could repair them for you. If you want to know more about that, then please visit my Google site account. There is a business tab on that web page, and it goes through the business structure as well as restoration services that I'll provide a bit on it, and data recovery. So I'm pretty excited about this, and we'll see how it takes off. Also, if you just enjoy the content and want to donate to this channel, then please do so using the PayPal link in the description. No obligation. I'm not begging for it. I do have a full-time job out of this, and so this isn't my main source of income by any means. Now, on to this video. Well, like I mentioned, it's been about 3.5 weeks or so since my last repair. Family and I went ahead and took off to the East Coast to go visit my sister and my brother-in-law and their kids. Spent about a week over there. And then we traveled down to the Gulf region and spent time with her family for about a week. Obviously came back and had to get back into work and the swing of things. And then, you know, a little extra time to get my mind back onto doing videos, essentially, because when you take a step away and you start getting involved and spending more time with family and more time with your kids, it's kind of hard to get back into the groove of wanting to do these other things because you know that's time away from them. But that being said, while I was visiting my sister and brother-in-law, her kids gave me a few things that they thought would be a good repair. And not, you know, whether it's good or not, you'd be the judge of that, but including my my brother-in-law as well. And I figured, you know, I'll just bring it all back, and as time permits, I'll do a video on it. Which kind of begs the question, like, I have been asked in the past, well, why are my videos not strictly just on cell phones or computers or, you know, those main things that break that people are interested in because they're high value devices and repairing. And essentially because that part of the market is pretty saturated, in my opinion. Could I do those things? Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think I've got at least 2 phone repair videos up on the channel. Can I do computer repairs or game console repairs? Yes, I can. I mean, as a matter of fact, the Yobo series, even though it's an older clone type console, I've done quite a bit on it, but I've reballed PlayStations in the past, way in the past, before I even ever started this channel, the GPU, CPUs for them. And you know, so I do have experience with that stuff. Never worked on a whole lot of Macs or iPhones per se, but you know, for the most part, cellular devices are cellular devices, and it really just depends on the skill set involved in what you're doing and the time you're able to spend, if you can find any type of data or technical data or anything along those lines to get the repair done. But anyways, I'm rambling on. So let's take a look at see what my family gave me to bring back. And here we go. Nice bag I stuck everything in. My nephew said his Vtech watch wasn't working. Might be something we'll look into. Well, we're going to look into it. My niece has this little pony. His head seems to be having some issues. But yeah, we'll look into it and see what we can do with it. How's it? Does it turn on at least? Oh! Yeah, probably just some gears are stripped out or something, but yeah, you know, we'll take a look at that. What else we got in the bag? Okay, so this was the first thing that, and my brother-in-law had been talking to me about this for a while, and I think he meant to mail it in, but then, you know, life happens. So I grabbed it while I was up there. It's an old Sony CyberShot. Said the picture isn't good on it. The lens is super blurry. It doesn't focus. So probably a mechanical issue. Couldn't find the battery for it, so I'll probably need to get a battery for it before I even attempt to work on it. So that one's probably gonna have to wait a bit. iPhone charge cable. But that's going to go to, I think this goes to an Apple TV device. Now, this fell into what he told me was an adult beverage and no longer works. Now, no longer works relative. I tested it out at their house. The volume up and down buttons work, but nothing else, and you can't get it to sync. The device operates off of both RF, or excuse me, is it RF? Infrared, that's what I meant to say, and Bluetooth. So we could test the infrared. I'm not sure if I'll be able to test the Bluetooth. We'll probably have to figure out something for that. But you know, there's no way for me to demonstrate what works and what doesn't work on this for you. So if I do a repair video on this guy, which I'm gonna do, you're gonna have to take my word for it. But I'll also have to send it back to them. They'll have to test it out, because after I repair it, I don't really, if there is anything I can repair on it. Again, this is kind of a long shot. I've never worked on one of these, but they'll have to be the ones to test it and tell me if it works. And then this Samsung TV remote. Now, I did take it apart briefly while I was over there, and it wasn't battery corrosion issues or anything like that. And it does kind of work, but you really have to press the power button and hold it down and wiggle the remote and just keep holding it down. I think, you know, I took it out apart and cleaned it, but you know, I couldn't get all the way down to the board to the physical buttons on it, and I think they're pretty dirty, so that's probably going to be a relatively easier repair, but we'll get that taken care of for them too. No big deal. Anyhow, we'll probably save those two for later on. What I'm kind of interested in doing is these two guys right here. So we'll take care of the Vtech and maybe the pony on here. We need to figure out first why this Vtech Kids watch isn't working. Let's see, that's power on right there, and doesn't appear to power on or turn on. Try the other way. Okay, so maybe I just get a cable, put some power into it, see what happens. Let's do that. Okay, it took me a minute to find a cable long enough to run from a power supply to reach my bench, but plug it in. See what's going on here. It's off. There's a little switch on the back. I don't know if you can see that. Zoom in for a second, I suppose. But we'll switch right down here with an off and on symbol. Oh, it did something. Turn on battery switch before use. Screen is flashing. It looks like it's turn on battery switch before use. Looks like it's trying to connect to my PC. That's where I have it plugged in currently. Well, it says fully charged. Weird. This might not have an issue. Might just need to be charged. Well, what am I going to do with this thing then? I don't know. It might have a little dodgy screen. Maybe a dodgy charging port. Highly doubt it though. But I think I'm just going to get on a charger and let it charge up for a bit and see what it does. See if it will charge up and turn on and act right. So we'll set this one aside for now. Alright, Vtech is on the charger. So let's just go ahead and move on to this. I assume it's a My Little Pony thingy. You can obviously, like I mentioned, see issues there. Looks like the eyes have a mechanical movement, so does mouth. It's got a speaker, and then maybe the legs move as well. Not too sure about that. They seem awfully stiff and not like they're on gears. I could be wrong, but we can at least figure out what kind of batteries it needs. Run a test on it. Looks like 3 AAAs. I'm gonna grab some AAAs. Positive, negative, right there. What do you do? Still not turn on? Maybe more to this than I was originally thinking. These are 1.5 volt batteries. Take out the ones I just stuck in there. Seems fairly odd to me. Hopefully my batteries aren't dead. I don't think they would be. And 1.6, 1.6, 1.6, so they're good. So we got a slightly bigger issue than just a broken neck on this horse. Only thing we can do from here is start taking it apart. Well, I knew there was going to be a bit of casualty taking this thing apart. Like I said, when they make these toys, they don't design them to come apart easily. I struggled quite a bit getting this body apart. And there used to be a tab on the back side of this, but that broke off in here, as I suppose it would, because all through here is super glue, some kind of very hard glue, cement, or epoxy. Same thing with this tab where it would fit in. There would be a post poking out here, would go into here. That completely snapped. There's epoxy. I can see it extruding a bit out the side. Up in here. Looks like they also tried to do a dab of epoxy down in there. Maybe as well. From here to that side, but they definitely tried to epoxy this thing up, so there was a bit of casualty, but nothing that should affect me being able to put this back together. That's no big deal. I did, however, find out why, just looking around, why the neck is all flopping about on this thing. So right here goes all the mechanical gears, and maybe I can get a light up on this better for you, but seems you have a main gear and then a smaller gear. There's one assembly on here, and the teeth on here are worn down. This would fit. You can notice the teeth on the back of this neck right here down into this guy. See if I can get it in there. There we go. And then as the device is powered up, it would be able to move the head up and down. However, and this isn't because I took it apart, this was the problem. There goes the majority of teeth on that one plastic gear, all broken off. They were inside of the neck assembly, just because they're covered in grease, just sitting in different areas. So I'll have to try to find a way to get that repaired, or see if I've got anything that would work for it. Not sure I have anything quite offhand that would work. I don't know if I'm more creeped out with this thing apart than when it was together. It's definitely slightly creepy. Hello, Clarice. Well, we're definitely talking about things nightmares are made out of. I have gotten slightly more familiar with the device, other than that gear being stripped out. We have some damage on this assembly here. Looks like it's almost fully broken apart. Notice it's not that way on this side. That's something that we can put some epoxy on and it won't go anywhere, and that should be fine. So it appears that this is spring loaded, but for reasons unbeknownst to me, I think it's just spring loaded to be spring loaded. Well, I take it back. So you do have your voltage coming off of this. I imagine that spring is to keep tension on this pole as it touches that little peg up in there. So we can put positive to here, and our negative terminal into there and trace all the way to the board to see if we see where we're broken. But also notice a couple other things, and this might be hard to show, maybe harder to demonstrate. You have what is essentially a small little switch in here. Notice it's going to be hard for you to see. That closes when the neck is in the fully upright position. And these two purple wires that run from that switch appear to wrap around and go up to the PCB here. We also have the two wires that go to this button that also feed all the way up to our PCB, so we can check them, test for continuity. You notice these two micro switches here. That has something to do with the position of these feet or legs. As you can tell when I turn it, there is a tab here and then kind of like a tab protruding off of here. It looks like it would come into contact with those two micro switches. For reasons still unbeknownst to me, but that's there. Just as I suspected, primarily battery box. Yes, you have some gears and a small motor for operating of the neck. The feet are static unless if you physically move them. However, they do trigger something with these switches here. All this feeds up into basically the brain of the toy. You've got an IC, some capacitors, you know, your traditional kids toy type PCB. Looks like we have several lines leading up to the upper portion of the head. Now, what I did find interesting is there is a small microphone right in the nose of the toy. So I assume you can talk to it and it does something voice activated. Probably looking for Vox or voice to trigger something stored inside of the memory on here to run a function. And as I said, a little actuator up here for controlling of the eyes. The mouth also goes to a small switch. So I imagine if you put something in the mouth, that activates another sequence. Kind of crazy. This is a copper plate over the top of the nose. So up in here, imagine a kind of a inductive pad. So if you were to rub your finger up here, change in current might be sensed. Goes to a gray wire. It's here. Now is that how you activate it? Again, I don't know. Might have stripped this down further than what was needed. But, you know, from here we'll just start pinning things out, and the main thing is I've got to figure out if I've got a spare gear that will work in here. Okay, so I put the batteries back in with all this stuff removed, and lo and behold, it does things. So maybe just some loose wires on the board and we'll hit them up with a soldering iron. But look, just like I thought, activated by touch. When the feet are moved in a certain position, that does something. You can hear the motor down here spinning. Found out what the microphone is for too. Hold down this button. Hello, hello, hello. And like I said, it's little micro switches. Pretty sophisticated device. You wouldn't have so much of this stuff when I was growing up and in our toys. You'd probably have a small portion of some of the things that this could do. A pretty interesting toy nonetheless. So what's the plan of attack going in here? Well, things are functioning as it should be right now. So what I'm going to do is all the wires on this PCB and then the wires inside of here, I'm going to try my best to touch them up with a bit of solder. So if there is any loose connections once it's in the device, let's turn that off, that we don't have that issue again with it not turning on. And then I need to take apart this motor. We got to find ourselves a gear to go in it. Okay, so I hit a bit of a snag. I don't have any gears that will suffice for this larger disc that you see here, the larger portion of this gear you see here. I have some that are the correct diameter, but not the same tooth layout that you have on here. And also a lot thicker. Now I've recorded down measurements. This gear diameter is 15.1 millimeter. Internal diameter of the smaller gear is, at best guess, 6.6 millimeters. The height, total height, is 4.8. Then I measured this bottom at 0.8, so that means that this top gear that's a part of the main gear is only 4 millimeters. Well, this small gear that I have here is approximately around the same diameter, 6.2. Again, I'm guessing because I don't have, teeth to go off of here because they're all broken. But I'm thinking it might work. The tooth pattern does match up and does fit perfectly inside of the neck of this unicorn. So my hope is that this right here will work. However, it is 4.9 millimeters. So I'm going to have to shave a little bit off of this, off the surface of it, in hopes to get it to work at the end. But suppose what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean this up to get all this machine oil off of it, and get this as flush as possible, and then super glue this on top, aligning it to the same hole that's pre-existing, and then hopefully it will suffice. I think the internal diameter of this hole is just slightly bigger than what is in here, but so long as I have the same diameter on the bottom, I'm not too concerned about it, in this bigger gear. I'm not too concerned about the top one having a little more slop on this post, because the bottom, the main gear, is going to keep it in place. But given I don't have the right like for like replacement, I think this is going to be the next best option moving forward. So while I was repairing, I mocked up, the neck for this toy here, and it seems to fit pretty well in the gears. So I'm just going to get it back together, and we'll test it out. And she is back together. Now I thought that this was a My Little Pony toy. It's actually not. You can find them on Amazon. They're called Pets Alive. My Magical Unicorn, and they go for $16.79 brand new. Just a marked down 16%. I don't know if that's an Amazon Prime listing, or they're just on sale, but either way, yeah. So not a My Little Pony, something completely different. Anyways, let's turn it on. Okay, seems to still be working. And the neck's working perfectly good. Test, 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 test. Cool. We got the legs trigger still. Cool. How about this back leg? There we go. All right, I think happy with that one. Everything seems to be functioning, and the head's not flopping around. It's actually working now. It's awesome. And everything else on it still works as well. So we'll call this one done to get this packaged up, and we'll move it out of the way. Okay, and we still have this Vtech watch. I've got it on the charger, and it powers up now. Not today's date, but whatever. Call it what it is. and just messing with it, you can't seem to, the screen flicker issue is gone, but you can't seem to get to the home menu. And then if I was to just let this sit long enough, the screen's going to go white, and the flicker is still kind of there. But yeah, the buttons aren't functioning. There's still some weird issues. I suppose the first thing I'm going to do is plug it up to my PC and just see if I can reinstall the firmware on this and see if that will fix it. And if not, then I'm going to have to take it apart and see if we can't repair these buttons, maybe lose connections or whatever's going on with it. Alright, so after fiddling around with this for a bit, there is some software you can download to a computer for managing the Vtech DX2 Kids Smartwatch little thingy. But I couldn't find firmware, and I did not find any update tool inside this software either, so it just is what it is at this point, I suppose. I guess it's time to take it apart. Here's the white screen I mentioned, and it's still flickering a bit, but time to take it apart. I've got it underneath the microscope now, just so you can see what we're working with. Here goes the back case. 4 screws, comes off relatively easy. I would say be careful of this one little component here. That's to that off and on switch. Just so you don't lose it. But you can immediately see all this dirt and debris. Looks like sand. I'm going to assume this is just incredibly dirty and potentially water damage. The battery itself doesn't seem to be swollen, but yeah, definitely quite a bit of corrosion and stuff inside of here, and you can see all that dirt. This is the camera button that wasn't functioning. Seems to have a little metal tab over on this side pressing against this rubber piece. I assume this is to keep water from, prevent to a certain point water from ingressing inside, which is absolutely defeated when you don't have the rubber USB cover still on the device. So yeah, quite a bit of corrosion. This looks like, is that on and off switch? Yeah. We'll have to get all this cleaned up. So they live on the East Coast, and travel to beachfront is not exceedingly far away. This looks like some kind of reset. Not entirely sure. Not accessible directly from the back. Oh no, yes it is. Take that back. There's a little button right there. I realized that was a tad bit blurry. But same thing, a little less on this side, but yeah, well, I'll finish getting this taken out a bit further, and we'll get it cleaned up and see what it does after all that. Okay. Further disassembly required, I guess I didn't have to remove that upper plastic bezel, but we'll get it back on because the screen disconnected from the board. Let's go over the screen first. Let's take a look at the ribbon cable. And there's a side that plugs into the main PCB. You can see some liquid damage right here on the cable. You know, this white powdery stuff that will easily flake off, but I'm not seeing anything too bad with the cable itself. We'll get that cleaned up. I'm pretty sure that might resolve some of that screen flickering. Further examination of the board, obviously, as previously seen, corrosion. We've got components that are fairly dull looking. They've definitely oxidized, including oxidation around the battery connector. So we're going to remove the battery and get all this cleaned up as best as possible. Yeah, it's just there's no other way. I'm not guaranteeing that I can get this thing fixed, but we can at least test some things after the battery's removed and we have this cleaned up. And I'll show you the main reason why. Here we go. Little transistors or voltage regulators, one or the other, completely corroded. The device does power on, so that indicates there is some type of continuity, something going on here. But the button's obviously still not working. I'm surprised the device even turns on, to be completely honest. Had to remove some little like insulation tape over kind of over this IC right here. Definitely do not have this, so but we'll get it cleaned up and see what happens. And there goes some of that. Adhesive I still have not fully gotten off the board, but it will come off easier with some isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, it's just, not sure if that's sand or if it's sand and corrosion, or it is what it is. Now I'm pretty much just doing this. There we go. That was to one of the cameras. Obviously damage here as well. Indicating your speakers over here. Yeah, just a lot of water damage. Bulk of components over in this section look fine. Termination here looks fine. This looks fine. So, I mean, the best we can do right now is I'll get this cleaned up as much as possible. And then I'll test some things with the volt ohm meter. touched up quite a bit of components with a little bit more solder. I also flooded these switches with isopropyl and just worked the buttons back and forth quite a bit, and rechecked them with the multimeter, and we are now seeing corresponding changes, upwards of kiloohms, 10 to 20, and then when you press the button, you'll see a corresponding change of 1 to 2 kiloohms. So I don't know if that's going to fix it, but I'm just going to hope for the best. Said the device is functioning even though it's water damaged. Also went around the board and checked several components, and they seem to be just fine. So I'm going to get this put back together, get the battery soldered back on, get it back together, and we will test it out. Well, I started putting everything back together, and then I caught, and I wish I had checked these before, first off, but you can see in this upper left hand corner here, there's a bit of corrosion on the front facing camera, so we're going to get that cleaned up as well. Well, unfortunately, it does appear like we have a broken trace going to this camera. Potentially maybe some others. That white powdered substance that you saw me using, if you've seen my other videos, is Barkeeper's Friend. It's good for removing oxidation off of cookery. It's also very effective on circuit boards. Well, what I think I'm going to have to do is take out the Dremel and just kind of go across this area right here to remove some of this insulation, and we're going to test these and then see if we need to run any wires to repair this. Okay, continuity on that first pin, and just as I thought, we have a break right here, so that's one break. This looks like an obvious break right here. Yep. So second pin, third pin, break. Let's check our fourth pin. Yep. There's an obvious break in that fourth pin. Let's see about this fifth pin. Alright, continuity to there. And it's like I lose it in here, so there must be a small break in here somewhere. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just make sure that I'm on there good enough. Yeah, there's a break just right above this section right here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try 6. 6 seems to be fine. 7, and then over here all looks fine. So we need to repair 2, 3, 4, and 5. absolute pain that was. It wasn't, I guarantee you this camera was not working before. Can't guarantee it's going to work now, but I think we've got it fixed. Pull out my multimeter here and at least test for continuity. Okay. Do I have it shorted out on there? These pins are so small. It might just be me. I might have it shorted out. Yeah, that was me. Alright, do I have that shorted out? Yep. Oh, no. That was me shorting out with the probe. Alright, let me go to this side of this guy. Okay, I think we're going to be good. The only way to be able to tell is to get it put in there and turn it on. So I think that's what we'll do, just to try and get this to scale a bit for you. Alright, you see it on my fingertip, how tiny this was. Realize the lighting is not 100% the best. Yeah. Okay, let's get it back together and try and close out this video. Well, ladies and gents, for your viewing pleasure, home button now turns on the device. Touch screen is working, home button is working. Let's bring up the camera with the camera button. Hey, it's working now. There goes the front camera. And then here goes the camera that we just fixed. And as you can see, if you can tell, it's not the best screen, but it is working too. There we go. Anyways, this ended up being a nightmare. I actually had to take it apart and put it back together multiple times just to get this camera, front facing camera, seated in correctly after that repair to make it functional. And then once I did, I took a bit of hot melt glue and I put it over everything so nothing should move now. You know, some people like to do that, some people don't. I'll let you be the judge. I'll just do what I feel is necessary. That being said, I am excited to get both of these toys back to my niece and nephew, and hopefully they're excited to receive them. So, if you're new to this channel and you're watching my channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. If you're a returning subscriber, please consider giving this video a thumbs up if you liked it. As I mentioned in the opening, I'm now registered to do as a business in the state of Oklahoma. Go to my Google site in the description. It will tell you the exact process. Send, request a quote. I'll get the item. I'll sign you basically a ticket sent to you, and you'll send that device in. There is an inspection fee, but it's only payable. You only have to pay it if you do not want to proceed with the repair. Okay. As with everything, Inspection fee is flat rate. It's not going to be a labor charge at all. It's just to cover me and my time that I'm spending on your device. Okay. Now, if you move forward with the repair, great. No inspection fee. You pay parts. You pay labor. That's it. And we get you your device back, unless if I can't fix it, in which case I'll let you know. I'll shoot you an email and give you updates. And if you're willing to donate to the channel, there is a PayPal and a doobly-doo. I have had a donation in the past, and that individual knows who they are, and I really appreciated that. I was able to put that money to good use. That being said, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.
Mark?